Alright, this is going to be a quick video on how to do a Marlin 983T trigger upgrade using a mechanical pencil spring. Super easy. If you've been putting this off because you really don't want to do it, if you have one of these guns, this is my favorite, one of my favorite guns. It's super accurate. If you don't have a 983T, this is the old tube fed, the T. So if you don't have one of these, if you like shooting 22s and 22 Magnums, this is a 22 Magnum. If you can find one, pick it up. It's got the micro groove barrel. It's just a great gun. But back to the video. The first thing you want to do is you want to find a mechanical pencil or a pen. Big pens are supposed to work. I took the spring out of a Papermate Ultra mechanical pencil. And this is the spring right here. Now some people say that they use the spring out of a Bic pen, one of these bigger springs, and they cut it to 3/4. I didn't want to do that, but that is an option. I know people do it. So I found a spring this is probably going to be closer to the factory size. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your stock off. Super easy. You got 2 screws. You have your sling nut right here. And then you have a flathead screw right here. You take those 2 off, your stock slips right off. And you're not going to mess up any of your sights or your scope sighting or anything like that doing this. So you should be all good there. So it's really easy. The first thing you have to do is you have to take off this C-clip. Now you're going to want to be really careful when you do this because it's easy to lose. And when I say it goes flying, it really goes flying. Some people will put something here to catch it. I usually just like to put my finger on it really tight when I pop it off. And I can usually just keep it on the gun or on whatever I'm taking the C-clip off of. You can either use, sometimes the flathead works. Sometimes I use this sharp end on this little tool right here, and that makes it a little easier. And it's going to spin round and round on you. You're just going to have to get a hold of it. Okay, so there's my C-clip. I'll set that right there. You don't want to lose it. Again, it's better just to, for me, I've always found it easier just to keep my finger on it while I spring it, but it never hurts to have a cloth or something right here to catch it, because this thing, it'll shoot into outer space. I mean, it's gone if you don't catch it. So then you're just going to push this pin out right here. And right here, now before I took this off, I fired the pin. So there's very little spring on this or tension on this. So when you take this out, nothing's going to go flying. You're just going to pop this out. This little pin right here. It's going to come out the back side. Just going to push it through. Push it through. I'm going to take it out. So here's my pin. And I'm going to take the trigger out. And when you take the trigger out, your original trigger spring is right here. It's not going to go flying. Just take the trigger out nice and slow. And you're going to just take your spring out right here. Just reach in there and grab that. Okay. So there's our factory spring. And here is the replacement spring. Now you can probably see just by looking at them, just how much lighter this spring is. It's going to, some people actually have a problem because the trigger pull becomes a little too light. I guess it depends on what mechanical pen or pencil you take this out of. We're going to give this one a shot. This came out of a Papermate Ultra mechanical pencil. So now all I'm going to do, if your sear is in another position, just take it and push it up. In this position, it's easier to put this spring back in and slip your trigger back in. So you're just going to set it in here where the original one was. Don't worry about trying to get it lined up perfect. You're just going to set it in. Now you're going to take your trigger, and your spring is going to sit right here against this. It has a little bitty, little thing right there for the spring to sit in. So I'm just going to get the spring started on that, and then I'm just going to push it into place. And that's it. So now my trigger's back in place. It's just that easy, really easy. I'm just going to go from the back side. I'm going to put my pin back in. I'm not even going to flip it over. I'm just going to try and do it without flipping it over. Just move your trigger around so you can get it back in, get it started, get it pushed up. Now, one thing you will have to do, you're going to have a problem. It won't be up far enough for you to clip your C-clip on. So what you might have to do is you might have to flip it over, and you're going to have to pull down on your right here to get this away from this head. Sorry, let me make it so you can see that. Pull down right here, so you can pop this in, because this does rest against the head of this pin. So if it's here, you're not going to be able to push the pin all the way in. You just have to pull it down a little bit, then the pin pushes the rest of the way in. Then you can let it go and flip it back over. So now all we're going to do, make sure we're all the way through, we are. Now we're just going to put our C-clip back in. For that, I usually use needle nose pliers to push it back on. It usually goes pretty easy, just like that. Pretty simple. Okay, I can tell already just how much lighter this spring is, just before I do anything. So before you go assembling your gun back, the first thing you might want to do is you might want to just go ahead and do a quick, just go ahead and actuate it, and just pull your trigger and make sure it functions. One more time. Excuse me. Okay, we're functioning good. Super light trigger pull. I can tell the difference already before I even put it back together. So that's it. That's all there is to this little modification. It cost, I mean, if you have a pen laying around or a mechanical pencil, it really costs you nothing. It's free. Okay, we got the stock back on. Only took a second. Again, just so you can see, the only two things you have to take out is this right here for your sling and your little flathead screw right here. And this just slips right off. Trigger stays put. So let's see how it feels. Substantial difference, without a doubt. Very, very light pull. I would call that, I would guess that to be about a 3-pound trigger pull, would be my guess. 3.5. It's very light. Brakes really nice. There's no, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, it's really nice. That's awesome. I mean, it's for an upgrade that's that easy and free. You just can't beat it. So that's it. If you got one of these guns, or if you're lucky enough to find one and get it, that's your trigger upgrade. And here's my original spring. I'll just hang on to that. I don't want to lose it. But so that's it. Marlin 983T trigger upgrade. Awesome.